Hello, friends. When I was 3 or 4, my dad started trying to teach me how to write. He thought it was important to learn. He didn't necessarily trust the school, so he gave me and my sister a little bit of a head start. I was initially resistant. This is like before preschool even, that he's trying to teach me my letters and stuff. And it was hard for a 3 or 4-year-old to learn that kind of stuff. So I was kind of resistant. I was like, what's the point of writing anyway? Right? Like, being a very young child, I don't understand the utility of it. And so my dad tries to come up with a practical example. Well, if mom were to be arrested and to go to jail, and we're not here, how is she supposed to tell us that she's gone to jail? And I'm like, well, she could draw a picture of jail with her in it. Also, I should point out, this is like before cell phones are popular, so obviously she couldn't call us. And he's like, okay, try drawing a picture of mom in jail. So I tried drawing a picture, and I looked at it as yeah, no, I would see this and not be convinced, I wouldn't know what this means. And that was sort of what convinced me that writing was important. And he did prod me on, at some point later, he asked if I wanted to write a poem for Mother's Day. And I think that was probably the first time I ever wrote. And it was terrible. It was a terrible poem. Mildly morbid, even. I think I was 5 at that time. And of course I have all the writing experiences that are associated with K through 12 education. Essays, poems, whatever. And it was something I enjoyed in school, largely because it was something my dad kind of pushed me into when I was younger. So after school, the summer between high school and college, right before I met you guys, I started being interested in writing short stories, short allegories mostly, because it was fun. I did landscaping. I did a lot of pulling weeds, which is work that doesn't really require your brain that much, but my brain is still running, so of course I'm thinking about different things as I'm working. And so this was fodder for my short stories. But one day I was thinking, inspired by going to Creation Northeast, which is a Christian music festival, there was this one vendor who was selling a shirt that said things like, oh, if it weren't for your immune system, you would wake up every morning with a sheet of fungus on top of you. And it's a whole bunch of these really bad, I think even a creationist would have to admit that these were very bad arguments for the non-existence of evolution. So I was thinking about this guy selling t-shirts at the creation stand, and I'm like, you guys know where I stand on evolution. And I'm thinking, if I could convince him those are all bad reasons, would he suddenly lose his faith because of these stupid arguments that he believes in? Are these stupid arguments part of his faith? I certainly hope not. And so I started thinking, at this point in time, biology teacher was still in the list of things I might have considered doing. So I was thinking, well, if I were to teach biology, and a creationist student walks up to me and says, oh, well, I lost my faith because of what you were saying in lecture, what would I say back? And I started thinking really in depth about this hypothetical conversation. And and because I had already been writing short stories, I'm oh, I could write a short story about this conversation. But then it's maybe I should give it some context. And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and it's maybe... Maybe this would actually be a better book. Could I write a book? Could I write something that long? Pay attention to a story for that long? And I kind of did. I stuck through it. It's book length. I've revised it 6 or 7 times. And writing has become my hobby, even still. Speaking of, I started a new story, and I'm going to link it there, in the water. So you're going to have to come here and swim in the water and click the link.